The state rests in the Adam Montgomery case. This is the case of the tragic, terrible murder of a beautiful little young girl, Harmony Montgomery. And Adam Montgomery is now standing trial for murder of his daughter, Harmony Montgomery. And now the question is going to be if whether Adam Montgomery is going to take the stand and if there's going to be any other witnesses that the defense puts on during their case, which starts tomorrow if they so want to. My guess would be that Adam Montgomery is not going to take the stand. This is a defendant who was absent for the entire trial. I highly doubt that he's actually going to show up at the 11th hour, take the stand in his own defense. I don't think that's going to send the right message to the jury. Where were you the entire trial? So I don't believe. I don't think, if I had to guess, that he's going to actually take the stand tomorrow. And most likely, they're just going to move to closing arguments. So we may very well have a verdict on this case already tomorrow. That is Wednesday. So let's kind of summarize the state's case. And I really want to focus specifically on the murder charge. There's been other charges in this case also. The defense already admitted to 2 of the charges. So there's another charge or 2 that's technically that he's on trial for, but let's just concentrate on the most serious one, which is the murder charge. And if you think about it, you take a step back. We've been hearing a lot of testimony, if you've been following this trial, we've been hearing a lot of testimony from DNA experts and other experts, detectives and U-Haul trucks and things like that, which essentially was really just pointing to the fact that Adam Montgomery was trying to hide Harmony's body. He was trying to dispose of Harmony's body. He was abusing Harmony's corpse and things like that. But it didn't really talk to the actual murder of Harmony. And that's really the ultimate question. This is the most serious, ultimate question is that the jury's going to be facing is, did Adam Montgomery actually commit this murder or not? And what type of evidence? What's the evidence that's pointing in that direction? So if you think about it, really, the only evidence, and I'm going to say that lightly because we're going to discuss about other things, but really, the direct evidence that Adam actually was the murderer here is from Kayla. Look, somebody in that car, most likely, right? Let's just say most likely, but somebody in that car murdered Harmony. It was either Adam or Kayla or both of them together. Those are the only options. So Kayla's story is that Adam was the one who was the murderer. And Kayla is not the most believable witness. She just isn't. She's already lied to the grand jury a number of times. She's actually sitting a sentence right now because of her lying, her committing perjury to the grand jury. So that is just a defense attorney's dream, to get up there and say, you're going to convict my client of murder because of testimony. And this is the only evidence. And this, I guarantee you, this is what their closing arguments is going to sound like, or this is what it should sound like. You're going to convict my client. The only evidence that they have that says that my client, again, Adam, committed this murder is Kayla. And Kayla is right now sitting in jail for committing perjury. That's who you're going to rely on? A convicted liar? A person who could care less about the truth? And that's why we had to throw her in prison? Because she openly, knowingly, maliciously took an oath and disregarded that oath and lied? That is going to be the defense's argument in a nutshell. I'm sure they'll argue other things also. But really, that's really what it comes down to. Kayla is just not the most believable person. So does that really not get you above beyond reasonable doubt? So that's going to probably be the sound of the defense's closing argument. And what I think it's going to come down to, I think that what it really is going to come down to is if Adam was abusive beside from this murder. If you can prove, if there's enough evidence that shows that Adam was an abusive personality and he abused Kayla, and this Kayla was a battered wife, and that he abused Harmony. If there is evidence of that, then that is going to be enough, in my mind, for the jury to say, you know what, if this is a person who has no problem abusing his wife, physically abusing her and beating her up, then what's stopping him from beating up his little daughter also? But if you can make the case that no, Adam has never been abusive, he never laid his finger on anybody, and all of a sudden they're trying to say that he committed this murder, then the jury will have something more to think about. But if you can prove that he is this abusive personality, then the jury is going to be able to connect the dots and say, you know what, even though Kayla's testimony, she is a convicted, she's sitting a sentence for perjury, for lying to a grand jury under oath, and that's what she just did here. She took an oath. So what's to stop her from lying again? And of course, the defense is going to make an argument that she will do anything to get immunity, to be granted that she's not going to be charged with murder. So is that what's going to happen here? But if the jury can corroborate her testimony with some other pieces of evidence here from believable witnesses, from credible witnesses, that's what I think is going to do it, or that's what could do it, certainly could do it, for the jury to come back with a guilty verdict. So let's see if we have any credible evidence that Adam is an abusive person. If the defense can make a case that there's been no evidence that Adam was an abusive person, then it's going to be a much stronger argument to say, why would you assume that he did it? The only evidence, the only suggestion that he's that type of personality is because of Kayla, what Kayla's saying, and we can't trust Kayla. And again, another argument they're going to make, most likely, about Kayla is the fact that even after, maybe battered wives, and there's some psychology about how they're, when they're still in the marriage and when they're still living together with their partner, they'll still cover for their partner, and they won't run to the police, and they won't, they'll try to protect their husband who's completely abusing them. But once they're already separated, once they're divorced, once they're already living in separate lives, it's much more likely for that person to start saying the truth. And her testimony, Kayla's testimony to the grand jury, when she completely lied about the whole story and covered for Adam, was when they already completely divorced and separated. If he's this terribly abusive person who just battered you and abused you, why would you still be covering from even when you're separated? Now, of course, I'm sure arguments could be made, the psychology that she's still in love with him, different things. But that's certainly going to be arguments that the defense is going to make. I mean, I would imagine that would be some of the arguments that the defense is going to make and why they can't trust Kayla. And that's why I think, again, that it comes down to the other evidence which points to Adam being an abusive person. And is that evidence coming from a credible source? Now, if you've been watching this trial, it seems that there's only two types of witnesses in this trial. Either they're witnesses that have major drug problems and rap sheets, have been incarcerated, or they're policemen, detectives, troopers, people in law enforcement. That's what it seems like from this trial. Like every single person that gets up there either has a rap sheet or he's a detective. Now, there were people that were not like that. So, can we find other evidence? So let's go through it. So first we had Kevin Montgomery. Now Kevin Montgomery does have a history. He was incarcerated. He had a rap sheet. And Kevin Montgomery remember that was one of the first houses where Adam was staying with Kayla and Harmony and Seamus and Declan. And there was this trip to Florida that Kevin took. Again, Kevin's Adam's uncle. Kevin took this trip with his mother to help her when she was recovering from open bypass surgery. And he comes back, and that's when he sees this mark, this bruise on Harmony, by Harmony's eye. He sees a black eye. And he confronts Adam about it. And there's testimony about this. This is what Kevin testified about. And so there you go. There you have one instance where you have Adam being abusive to Harmony. Now, the argument back for that would be, well, again, the argument back would be that Adam's not a violent person. This is a person who came out of the restroom, saw that Harmony was literally choking his baby, and he just came over there and just smacked her off of him. So that even a non-violent parent you can make the argument, would do that. So that may not be the clincher for the jury. So let's move on to some other testimony. So we'll recall that the abuse that Kayla says really started getting worse, again, Adam to Harmony, was when they got evicted from their house, and that same house when Kevin came back, that same house, and they were evicted from that house, and they were living in their car. And once they were living in their car, that's when Harmony started having all of these accidents, these pee and poo accidents, and that was really just building up the rage in Adam. And Adam kept punching her. Every time she would have an accident, he would just punch her and abuse her like that. That was Kayla's story. Now remember, during that time, if you were watching this trial, during that time, they were parked in a friend's apartment building parking lot. So they had a friend named Anthony Bodero. Anthony Bodero had an apartment, and in that parking lot, that's where Adam and Kayla would park their Sebring at night. I guess that's where they would sleep, and that's where they would hang out for some of the day, in that parking lot. And Anthony would sell them drugs, and sometimes he'd bring them food. And the defense made a point of saying that Anthony would wave to Harmony during that time. And Anthony didn't see anything funny on Harmony. Now, if you have during that time where Adam is punching and bruising Harmony's face, so then that would be something that Anthony would see. And when he's coming there to wave at the kids, he would notice that something's wrong with Harmony and that her face is all battered and bruised. And yet, we're not going to hear anything like that. That was something that that was the argument the defense made. But when Anthony Bodero took the stand, this is what he had to say about whether he even saw Harmony during that time when they were staying in his parking lot.
And Mr. Bodero, who stayed in your vehicle?
Adam, Kayla, and the two boys.
Earlier you mentioned Adam's third child, Harmony.
Yes.
Where was Harmony during that time where you let them stay in your vehicle?
I do not know.
Was she with them?
No.
Did you see her at any point during that period where they were staying in your vehicle?
No, sir.
So there you see clearly that Anthony Bodero said that, and if you follow his whole testimony, the last time that he saw Harmony was months before this, and he never saw Harmony again. So he never saw Harmony, and he never waved to Harmony. So that completely takes the air out of that argument that, well, how can you say, again, this would be the argument, that how can you say that Adam was punching out Harmony when Anthony is waving at her and not seeing anything funny with Harmony? Well, here's Anthony saying that he never saw Harmony. So there goes that argument for the defense. So let's move on to another person. And we'll move on to Roseanne Smith. And Roseanne Smith was a very credible witness, in my opinion, when I was watching her testimony. She does not have a rap sheet. She is a good person, seems like, and she was in the business of transporting people who needed to get to different appointments. And he would transport Adam and she would transport Adam and Kayla to the clinic so that they can get some treatment for their drug problem. So she would take them. And when she's saying over the story, it's very persuasive. So take a look.
With regards to the drive to the methadone clinic,
Yes.
did anything occur in the car on the drive down to the methadone clinic?
No.
Okay. And then for the drive from the methadone clinic on Market Street back to Union Street,
Yes.
let me ask you, the event that I want to ask you about, did that occur when you were back at Union Street?
Yes.
Okay. When this event occurred, where was Kayla?
In the front seat beside me,
Okay. And where was Adam at this point?
walking away from the car.
Okay. And with regards to there with Kayla, what, if anything, did you try to give Kayla?
I tried to give her my phone.
Okay. What did you believe she was going to do with the phone?
She said, well, I can't do, she said.
No.
She wanted to call for help.
Okay. And with regards to that, How was she physically at the time? I know you've described the black eye already. How was she physically when you went to try to give her the phone?
She was shaky.
Where was Adam when you tried to give her the phone?
He was walking back towards the car, but
And so at that point, you said he was walking back towards the car?
I didn't see Adam there. I saw rage. Saw pure rage walking towards me.
What did Adam do as he, and were you in the driver's seat?
Yes.
And where was Kayla?
Beside me in the passenger seat.
And what did the defendant do?
He reached into the window of the car and twisted my phone out of my hand and said, "You're not giving my wife that phone."
What did you say to him when he did that to you?
I looked at him and I said, "Adam, I love you. Please give me the phone back. I'm trying to help you guys."
What did he do then?
He then gave me the phone back and I was able to give it to Kayla.
Did he say anything else?
No.
So there you have it. Here you have Roseanne Smith, a credible witness, laying out how Kayla was just abused. She had bruises all over her body. She wanted to call for help, and she didn't even refer to him as Adam. She referred to him. Roseanne Smith didn't refer to Adam as coming to the car. She referred to him as pure rage, coming to the car, grabbing the phone, and then she never, as you found her testimony, she never wanted to drive them ever again. But there you see again where it's clear to Roseanne, who is a credible witness, that Kayla was beaten up by Adam, and she saw this interaction showing that Adam's a very violent person, very controlling person, not wanting his wife to call anybody for help. So there you go. There it's painting Adam as, no, this is an abusive person. And therefore, it's going to be able to connect the dots for the jury to show that he also is very, very capable of abusing Harmony and leading to her murder. Let's go on. We had another witness, and we're going to call it to Tara Hilbert. Tara Hilbert was the property manager for the Union Street apartment. Eventually, Adam and Kayla moved to a Union Street apartment, and this is also another point of the testimony. And this was to show how much Adam lied to all these people about what happened to Harmony, that he took Harmony to Harmony's mother. But this is what Tara Hilbert had to say about her interactions with Kayla and whether Kayla was being abused. Take a look.
In April of 2021, at any time did you take Kayla away from the Union Street apartment?
I did.
Why?
Because Adam had beat her pretty bad.
How did she look when you saw her?
Really bad.
And when you say really bad, can you describe where you saw, I'm sorry, did you see any injuries on her?
I did.
Where did you see those injuries?
Her eyes, her nose, she was covered in blood.
Where did you take her?
To a hotel in Hooksett.
So here you go again. You got Tara Hilbert, very credible witness, saying that it was so bad, the abuse on Kayla, that she actually took Kayla to a hotel with her kids. And then eventually, Kayla went back to Adam. This happens a lot with, unfortunately, it happens a lot with abusive relationships. People end up going back together. But there you go. There you have some other clear evidence that Adam is this abusive type of person. And finally, let's go to Rebecca Maines. Rebecca Maines, and I think this is really, she's not the most credible witness because she's serving sentences for, and this is something that the defense pointed out about Rebecca Maines, is that she's right now in prison, and she's serving sentences for theft and dishonesty, things like that. But I thought that her testimony was pretty good. And again, when it's corroborated with the other evidence, I think this is really going to be the nail in the coffin. So let's take a look at Rebecca Maines' testimony.
Finally, with regards to what the defendant stated to you about Harmony, what, if anything, did he ever say or I'm sorry, who, if anyone, did he ever say Harmony reminded him of?
Her mother.
Her mother?
Her mother.
And did he tell you how that made him feel? God bless you.
He said he hated her. Right to his core.
So, very clearly, she says that she actually said this and was not in the clip, I don't believe, but this is. She says that Adam and her were considered like best friends. She really thought that Adam was her good friend, and Adam would confide in her. And something that Adam told her was that Harmony reminded her of her mother, and that's the main reason why he hated Harmony. So now you've got all the picture together. You got this abusive person who's capable of beating up his wife and having bruises and black eyes to his wife, giving his wife that type of abuse. And now you have the fact that he hates Harmony. He hates her to the core. And now everything now fits together. So now at the end of the day, it's not just Kayla's word against Adam's word. It's Kayla's word, but corroborated with all this other evidence, is going to be very strong for the jury to come back with a guilty verdict. So that's, I think, the key points in this trial, the way that I was viewing it. There was a lot of other testimony about the DNA, about him dragging around her body and putting it into freezers, and that he worked at these other places. And, but I think that these clips really outline why there can be a very strong case for a quick guilty verdict with tomorrow, most likely when closing arguments finish and the jury gets the case. So just to completely, for the point of completeness, let's just talk about the motion to dismiss. After every case, essentially after the state rests, there's always going to be a motion to dismiss or a motion for directed verdict, where the defense, is just basically just to preserve the record and show that you're making a motion to dismiss and directed verdict, and you're basically asking the judge, yeah, they haven't proven their case, and so some people are getting some bent out of shape, like, oh, what's this motion to dismiss? What the nerve? Does she ever think that it's going to get granted? It's common. It's every single case. Every single case is always, once the state or the plaintiff rests, there's always going to be a motion for directed verdict or a motion to dismiss or a motion for judgment before the defense or the defendant puts on their case. So that's what happened here. And she made some of the arguments that we're probably going to hear again in the closing arguments, that Kayla is not believable, nobody actually saw the murder, things like that we've already discovered, we've already discussed, and the prosecution obviously fired back, and it was a pretty easy call for the judge to deny the motion to dismiss. But that was really much more just protocol. It happens in every single case. So don't get so bent out of shape that the defense will make such a motion. So that really sums up, I think, the Adam Montgomery case, and we will most likely be seeing them go to closing arguments tomorrow, and the jury will get the case tomorrow. We may even have a verdict by tomorrow. So that does it for today. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe, like the video, and we will see you next time.